and we can talk about things. Okay, thanks very much for joining us, and see you next time.
Going to continue to blood. And the first thing that we need to know about blood is that it is connective. So we say that blood is connective tissue, and I always remember it as it is connecting different parts of my body with each other. But what is connective tissue? We have epithelium tissue, né? And we know, where do we find epithelium? In the inside of our mouth. You remember the epithelium, the epithelial layers, inside of the blood vessels. But now we have a tissue that we call connective tissue. And the blood is part of the tissue that helps to link different parts of my body. So therefore it's connective tissue. 7% of your body exists out of blood, and we have between 4 to 5.5 liters of blood in our body. So the composition of blood, I want you to quickly write down the date of today and quickly write down what is the different parts of blood. Please, the different parts of blood. Okay, right. What do we recognize? Is this something new to you, or do we know blood? I think we know blood. No, we know blood. So that is why I want you to work by yourself and just think. So we can recognize blood as a yellow liquid, which we call plasma. Then we have the red blood cells. And we have the white blood cells. You can recognize on this diagram that there are two different kinds of white blood cells. Now, do you see that? These ones are the lymphocytes, and these are the phagocytes, or we also know them as neutrophils. Okay. Can you quickly make a plan? How are you going to remember if there's no color? What is the difference between red blood cells and white blood cells? Only one difference. The white blood cells has a nucleus. Yes. What else? Abby? It has a biconcave shape. It almost seems as if it has a little dent in the middle. Yes, that's true. So we cannot refer to color and say one is red, and because your paper normally is in black and white, né? If they give you the paper in color, a picture in color, you may refer to color. But if there's no color, you cannot refer to color because you cannot see it. Okay. How will you make sure to remember lymphocyte and phagocyte? What is the difference between lymphocyte and phagocyte? It is a lobed nucleus. Now, this is a bit of revision from grade 10. Remember, it will not always look like this, but it has a lobed nucleus, not one large solid nucleus, as what we can see there. Now, if we take blood and we put it in a centrifuge, that is something that can spin the blood very, very fast. And you have a little picture of that here at the bottom of the handout. There you see, if we can spin it, what do you think you will name that top part? Which contributes to the top part if it is spun the blood and separated in different parts. It is the plasma. And then small amount of the white blood cells and the red blood cell, white blood cells and platelets, and then below you have the red blood cells. So when you cut yourself, how will you describe the color of blood? Red. But the blood is not red. It only appears red because of the huge amount of red blood cells that is moving in the yellow, straw-like colored plasma. Okay, very important to know that. Blood is only red due to the large amount of red blood cells. So now, if you look at the worksheet that I handed out, I gave you this paper, and I quickly want you to identify the parts or the components of blood that you can see there, and what can you recognize there. Can you quickly label that? And remember, when we label, what do we use for the label line? A ruler. Yes, a ruler. Nah. We never cross label lines.
With over 300 games in 6 weeks, get DSTV to watch the best live football action. Respiration. Now, I want to warn you. Photosynthesis was the process that we have studied with different steps. I want you to keep in mind from the moment that we start that respiration is photosynthesis the other way around. You also will have different steps. So keep your mind together so that you immediately see how they differ. Then it's much easier to remember. Okay, so when we look at respiration, we always have a problem with the events that is taking place during respiration. Because some people think if I'm talking about the respiratory system, I'm talking about respiration. What is the respiratory system about? What is our respiratory system? Name the organs in the respiratory system. The lungs. Yes, the bronchiole, the breathing in, the diaphragm. Nah, that is our respiratory system, not the heart. The heart is circulatory system. Nah, yes, they are all linked. Okay, so when we talk about the respiratory system, we actually talk about breathing in, breathing out. And I cannot say today that it has nothing to do with respiration. Why do we breathe in? To get the oxygen. Nee. And the oxygen is part of the process of respiration. But when I'm talking about breathing, I only refer to the moving of air into the lungs and out of the lungs. That is breathing. Okay? And that is not equal to respiration. Then we have external respiration. And that is where we have the gases from the lungs move into the blood. Actually, we say that is gaseous exchange. Nee. Then we have the gas transport to the blood. The oxygen is transported. How? Via the hemoglobin. And when oxygen and hemoglobin combine, we have oxyhemoglobin, and we find it in which cell? The red blood cell. Now the gas is transported, and then I have internal gaseous exchange, where I have the oxygen moving into the tissue cells. Nee. And now I have cellular respiration, where the oxygen is used in the process and carbon dioxide is the byproduct. But why is the reason that cellular respiration needs to take place? For the production of, for the release of energy. Energy. That is why we have cellular respiration. So, if we want to look at cellular respiration, we actually look at what is happening on cell level. In the cell, we have a process where the glucose that we ate, together with oxygen, is changed into carbon dioxide, water, and energy. That is how you have studied cellular respiration up to now. You agree? What I have eaten, especially sugar, because sugar is a glucose-rich, energy-rich nutrient, plus oxygen, carbon dioxide, water, and energy. So, I quickly want you to write down the date and see if you can fill in that sentence, please. Okay, I'm going back to this. What happens during respiration is sugar or glucose is converted into carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Now, okay, yes, respiration is the release of energy. From what? From food, substances of food. Which one is very energy rich that you can break down? Glucose, nee. You can say nutrients, but actually we refer to it as glucose. Nee. In all living cells, all living cells. There's not specific cells. And it happens during all day, all night. It will not stop somewhere. How does this differ from photosynthesis? Only during the day, when there is sunlight. No. And what else can you say, can we see is different? Is actually capturing the energy. No. Photosynthesis captures the sun's energy and build it into nutrients. And glucose is one of the most energy rich. So it actually now break open that molecule that captured the energy of the sun. Isn't that amazing to think like that? So your lunch that you had now, is now where you actually take in the energy of the sun in the form of glucose, and now your cells will break open that glucose to release energy. Something else that I see differently is that photosynthesis only takes place in cells where I have chlorophyll. Okay? And where will respiration take place? Mitochondrion is the organelle for respiration. That is a little bit of introduction just to get ourselves orientated. Okay, so we have 3 types of respiration, and each time we will see different products that are released. We have aerobic and anaerobic in muscles, animal muscles, human muscles, anaerobic in yeast. What does the word aerobic means? Aerobic and aero chocolate. What do you think? Okay. What do you think? Which gas will be in that bubbles? What do I need for? What do I need for respiration to take place according to that one? Oxygen. So, do you think aerobic respiration means with oxygen or without oxygen? Aerobic. With oxygen. I cannot practice and have a good workout if I do not breathe in oxygen. Anaerobic will mean there can be a process of respiration where there's less or no oxygen. And then the muscles and the yeast or other plant cells need to have a new or another strategy. So anaerobic, let's start. Aerobic respiration is where we have the breakdown of the glucose in the presence of oxygen, or anaerobic in the presence of less or no oxygen. Okay, right. So let's continue. Okay, now I want to know, for what do we use energy in our bodies? I want you to make now a heading, use of energy. So make a list. In the human body, how do we use energy? And the one thing is to move. Now, what else? To think. To grow. We need energy. We need energy in order to obtain our food. To obtain my food. When I am eating. Okay, yes, it's actually moving my hand, but I am moving for a specific reason, to obtain food. And when my food is being digested, processes need energy. So to digest my food, for my heart to beat, it is a contraction. It's still movement, but which movement? Heartbeat. When I'm talking, reproduction, lots of energy. That ovum, the sperm that needs to swim. Then all those processes of dividing the cells. To keep the body warm. Yes, when we are cold, we want to eat more. Isn't that? To send nerve impulses. For coordination. Coordination, like to look at something and I can see something, I hear something. To grow and to remove waste. For excretion. I need energy. Okay, so we actually need a process inside every cell. No reaction can take place if there is not energy for that. You cannot drive your car or your motorbike if you do not have fuel in it. what fuel will we use? We indirectly use the energy of the sun. But it was packed by the producers, the green plants, it was packed in food molecules. And you remember we said glucose, we eat carbohydrates for energy. Do we have energy in a protein molecule? Yes, it takes more time to release because it's a large protein, complex protein, but there's energy in the protein. Do we have energy in fat? Yes, double the amount, 38 kilojoules per gram. So the energy, we just need to get that energy out of the food. How do we get it out of the food? By the process of respiration. Okay, now the paper that I have just handed out, I want to help you to make a summary of these processes. So, a definition for a grade 11 higher level is that we need to look at respiration as the gradual release of energy by the stepwise breakdown. So it is not like one step and voila, there I have all the energy available. No, it's not working like that. So please fill that in there. It is going to have lots of steps of energy-rich fuel, for example, the glucose produced during photosynthesis in all living cells 24/7. 24/7 means day and night. Okay. Now, in order to have that energy stored, it is something like I am going to the shop to buy me a bottle full of Coca-Cola. I cannot go to the shop, get a drop of Coca-Cola and go away. No, it does not work like that. I buy it in a container. Now we have a container for the energy that is released. You can think for yourself, if the cells are releasing the energy, it is not immediately used up. So it needs to be kept for when it is needed. And that molecule we call ATP. Adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine triphosphate. That is the molecule that will store the energy. It's a very small molecule. It is immediately ready to donate energy. So we say ATP is a donor of the energy. It is small, water-soluble, and that is telling me it can be transported or circulated through my body in my blood plasma. Water-soluble, and it can move around the cells. Okay, so the energy that is released, and do you hear? The energy that is released. We can never say energy is produced, because energy cannot be created or produced. It can only change from one form to another. And the energy that we find in the ATP containers, molecules in our body, actually was light energy. It changed into chemical energy. Now, does it make sense? And now the chemical energy moves in containers. So, if I look at ATP, how can the ATP contain the energy? It is something like this. This is a little story that helps me to remember. I have ADP plus P. It is adenosine diphosphate. And here you can see the adenosine diphosphate molecule. Adenosine diphosphate with 2 phosphates. Now, and I see this as a bottle with its prop open. P for prop. Now, adenosine diphosphate. The moment when that energy is released, I add another P phosphate and I close the container. Do you see what I mean? Now I have how many phosphates? 3. Adenosine diphosphate plus another P. There, the energy is bottled up. Yes? Nay. Now, the moment when that energy must be released, what happens with a champagne prop? It pops. And, wow, energy released. The muscle can use it. The process can use it that needs the energy. And again, the container is open with a prop. Okay. That is how the adenosine triphosphate release energy. I have an extra phosphate, extra P. Close it, connect it, and I have adenosine triphosphate. So the moment when you see adenosine triphosphate, you know energy is contained. When you see adenosine diphosphate, energy is released. Okay. Do we understand that, class? Okay. So, let us then go to the 3 types. We already said aerobic in the presence of oxygen, anaerobic in the presence less or no oxygen, and it is taking place in the muscles, and anaerobic respiration can also take place in the plant cells. So, aerobic, the release of energy by the breakdown of glucose in the presence of oxygen, and 38 ATP molecules are produced. When I look at anaerobic respiration, I have the release of energy without the presence of oxygen, and watch how many ATPs? Only 2. So which one is more effective? In the presence of oxygen. Now, we know that this process of respiration are controlled by enzymes, like all other processes. Okay, so now I want you to think, what factors or conditions help enzyme reactions to be highly functional or optimum? pH, temperature, the concentration of the enzyme, the concentration of the substances. So all of those will be applied during the process of respiration. At what temperature do you think will respiration takes place in our bodies? 37 degrees Celsius. You see, it makes sense, because it's a human process. And then, heat will be released during respiration, and it is now chemical energy that is available. Okay. Right. And it happens in all living cells. Now, this brings us to how does the cellular respiration look when we have a balanced equation? The balanced equation is C6H12O6. What is that? Glucose. Plus 6 molecules of oxygen, and that will convert into 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, 6 molecules of water and 38 molecules of ATP. Write down the equation, please. Write down the equation. We will look into that equation. We will. So what we actually there, the respiration equation there is with oxygen. So we are looking only at aerobically. We will 38 ATP. You can write in 38 ATP. Okay. And then we have an organelle. Okay. And the name of that organelle is the mitochondrion. The mitochondrion we find in animal cells and in plant cells. Nee? Yes, definitely. And I want you to use half a page. That is too small, that is too small. Yours is fine. And I quickly want you to draw with a heading, nee? Correct lines, correct label lines and labels. I want you to draw the mitochondrion, please. This, of course, is a micrograph, nee? This is a three-dimensional drawing, and this is if we can take a photo under a light microscope. It will look like this. Okay, you can only draw one side. Okay. Okay, right. So let's continue. And we draw the mitochondrion, many mitochondria. So, I quickly just want to revise. When they give you a picture and you have to draw a large version of that one, you must or can include your magnification. Or they will ask you to calculate your magnification. Nee. But please remember, if they give you a sample, you must draw it exactly as it is in the drawing. Okay, now I want us to look at the process of respiration. And first, I'm just going to give you the whole picture, and then we will break it down. Okay, so this is the process of respiration. It starts with glucose, and we know that. The glucose need to be broken down into 2 pyruvate molecules. So, what was photolysis? What was the process of photolysis or photolysis? Don't worry. It was the breakup of water during photosynthesis. Hey, well done. So, that word lysis told us the split when the sunlight was used. Now I say our first step is glycolysis. So it's a split up. You see, glycolysis must be a split up of the glucose because that is the product that we start with. Remember we said it is a gradually stepwise breakdown. It is not glucose and voila, there's the energy. It is glucose will be broken up during the process of glycolysis into 2 pyruvate molecules. Now, 1 pyruvate at a time will be broken down again. Carbon dioxide will be released. Energy will be captured, and then it moves to the last process, electron transport phosphorylation. Phosphorylation forming adenosine triphosphates. So with the process of phosphorylation, we can see it is where the ATPs are being formed. Nah. And then the other pyruvate needs to go through a few reactions during the Krebs cycle. We move to the last part, electron transport phosphorylation, and eventually we have how many ATPs? 38. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake on my slide then. No, this is the net harvest. Watch, to start our reaction, we need an input of energy. So, in order to form energy, 2 ATPs are being used. So, 38 was produced, but 2 was used. So, it is actually repaid then, and then I have only 36. It's a bit of accounting. Nah, it's a bit of accounting. Right. Does it make sense, Janus? Don't worry. You don't have to worry about it. All that I want you to know is 38 is produced, but 2 of that 38 is used to start the process. Right. Okay, so the first step is, please say the word glycolysis. Okay, the second step is the Krebs cycle. Krebs cycle, and the third part is electron transport phosphorylation. Sure. Okay. How many ATPs are produced? 38. 2 is used, so I actually only have 36. Okay. Now, where this 3 steps is taking place at in different parts of the mitochondria. And I'm going to show you a picture where everything happens so that you can see if you can find out what is happening where. Which process of respiration is where? Nah. So we are just going to see where each step is taking place. So, if you want to start searching for the answer, page 302, you can start looking there, see if you can find where is everything happening. Okay, did you finish copying the slide? So, let me show you an overall picture. Okay? Here we have glycolysis, and we know glycolysis is where the glucose is converted into 2 pyruvate molecules. Now we see the pyruvate moving into, what do you think is this yellow thing? It is the mitochondrion. So the pyruvate moves in. So where is glycolysis taking place? Outside in the cytoplasm. So in the first one we say cytoplasm. Then we have the pyruvate moving through the double membrane. So what is happening at the double membranes? The pyruvate molecules pass through it. Okay. I think it will happen by diffusion. Yes, do you agree? Because I have lots outside, high concentration. Inside, they are changed all the time. So there's less pyruvate inside. And then I have the Krebs cycle taking place. Where do you think is the Krebs cycle taking place? In the matrix. In the matrix. There we have, you see it's there happening between the folds in the matrix. And then there they try to show you, you see they show you a fold there underneath. And the electron transport or phosphorylation and phosphorylation is taking place on the cristae. Okay, and there we have our answer. So we now almost know the names, and we know where it is taking place. Right. Aha, I just want to see, we have ribosomes inside the mitochondrion. You know ribosomes? Ribosomes is for the production of proteins. So which protein do you think will be important to enzymes? Yes. That is for enzymes. We need enzymes because we have many processes, not only one, lots of processes, and processes are catalyzed, you remember? Catalyzed by enzymes. I have no idea, but I think there are a huge, numerous amount of enzymes in the human body. Nee. If you think how many processes needs to take place. Okay, right. Now we see, and I want to read this in your textbook. Page 302. Page 302. I just want you to understand the words oxidation and reduction. Oxidation means when something lost electrons, when the loss of electrons from a substance or the gain of oxygen. So we say that glucose is oxidized. Oxidation is taking place because glucose is forming water. The sentence in your book says, a carbohydrate like glucose is oxidized or combined with oxygen to form carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Oxidation reaction. And yes, when you write higher level, you gain marks that is a marking point. Although there are other things that you can write down, but I want you to understand that glucose gains oxygen and it will form carbon dioxide and water and energy. That is an oxidation reaction. Reduction is loss of oxygen. Oxygen is lost from that side. And the reduction reaction is when something do not have, but they do not refer in your book of the reduction. They only state the oxidation that is taking place. Okay, I just want you to know what is the difference between oxidation and reduction. And I think I'm going to stop right here. And I'm going to give you a
Champions League season is reaching a new peak. Are you ready for the ride?
Everything again.
Europe's finest football clubs are about to experience unrivaled acceleration. And DSTV gives you the best seat in the house. It's the thrilling rush to the UEFA Champions League final. Get connected to DSTV to experience every heart-stopping moment.
Namibia is known for its beautiful wide open landscapes. However, these deserted spaces also pose numerous educational challenges in our country's rural areas. Because of this, many learners are denied access to proper teaching and learning. At EduVision, we believe that education is the starting point to a journey of endless possibilities.
Soon and very soon, we are going to see e-learning. Soon and very soon, we are going.
The plan for EduVision was to identify areas in Namibia that do not have the proper learning resources, a working school or an education center.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, we are going to see e-learning. No more silence.
My name is Philip Smith. I'm the principal of Educate Academy in Otjiwarongo. The project EduVision, the e-learning program, started in 2017. With a project like this, obviously telecommunication, internet connection is a major thing that needs to be sorted out, a logistical challenge. And the fact that we chose Chunkwe Secondary School as the first school didn't make it easier for ourselves. It's very far from Otjiwarongo, it's far from Windhoek. So the internet connection was a big challenge first of all. So with the help of the telecommunications expert Paratus, they made this dream come true with internet connections via Windhoek, Otjiwarongo to Chunkwe and then back, the whole process. Like I said, it's interactive whiteboard, so the internet speed, capacity of the connectivity and so forth plays a major role. And so Paratus made this dream come true, and they were on board from the first moment. So very grateful for Paratus.
The project offers teaching assistance of a high standard in science to rural secondary schools within the learner's own community by means of e-learning. This entails the following: live transmissions of lessons from an equipped teacher in a different location to the students in rural areas, students using their own cell phone, tablet or computer to recall each lesson, and interactive lessons as well as the use of a smartboard as a teaching aid.
So if you look ahead at the next 3 years, we get information from the Ministry of Education. The future is very bright. So I think there's a lot of schools who can benefit from this program. Like I mentioned before, finances obviously plays a major role in a project like this. So we're very thankful for all the sponsors that are on board and still on board after almost 3 years of the project. So as long as people from the private sector can get involved, I think we can reach many schools in Namibia, because this project made a good start now. We're already seeing some positive results, and we can just call on all the private sector corporate sponsors to come on board and join in this very, very positive project.
It is EduVision's goal to prepare and guide learners in order to make the modern world they are living in accessible to all.
My name is Magdalena Neoma. I'm 18 years old and I'm doing my first year at Unam Commando campus, and I completed my grade 12 at Tsumpe Senior Secondary School. I'm doing education, so I'm gonna teach at Tsumpe Secondary School, because there I really need to go there and motivate the learners. EduVision helped me a lot. It assisted us in teaching for mathematics, physical science, and biology. And it also, we get to exchange learning from other schools like Educate, whereby they teach us, and that's the most thing that we benefited from. Studying without Eduvision was so challenging, and when Eduvision was introduced at our school, things become more easier. The time where Eduvision was not introduced, we were so slow in learning, and when Eduvision introduced at our school, my learning speed increases. Things were kind of boring, and when Eduvision came, my mind changed the way I think. I'm really grateful for what Eduvision gave us. Our class of 2019 was the first group to make it to perform very well at Sonko Senior Secondary School. So it should keep up the spirit. We need that. It should continue to support us.
Eduvision aspires to ensure that equal opportunity is offered to every learner in rural areas to tap into his or her own potential while working in an environment which views disadvantages not as obstacles but as unique attributes that can be regarded as powerful assets when given the proper opportunity. At Eduvision, we believe that dreams are the foundation of knowledge and hope always triumphs over experience.
No more problems. Everything is proper.
The mighty Zambezi River, the longest east-flowing river in Africa, a river that flows through 6 countries, home to a plethora of wild species of fauna and flora, a lifeline for many people whose livelihoods are dependent on the abundance the river brings. Globally, communities who live along rivers rely on these rivers to survive. Communities living along the Zambezi call it the river of life, bringing water for their crops and fish as their main protein source. In Namibia, a country situated in sub-Saharan Africa, the Zambezi River sits at the heart of Kaza, the Kavango-Zambezi Trans-Frontier Conservation Area, which is one of the greatest conservation areas on Earth, a stronghold for very many of our most iconic wildlife.
I'm right now where the river forms the border between Namibia and Zambia. This enormous water body provides sustenance to a wide array of wildlife, bird and fish species. It's also a lifeline for human beings.
The same communities are the people also who are doing the illegal activities.
The price of fishing has gone up because fish has become scarce.
The more they finish us, the more our life gets harder and harder.
These days, it is very rare to get a big bream, unless in those protected areas.
A small group of community members, together with non-governmental organizations like Namibian Nature Foundation, are fighting back.
We have to start thinking out of the box, to be honest, because what's going to happen is going to be out of this box that we haven't seen before.
By creating protected areas, monitoring and patrolling, fish stocks have a chance at recovery. These are the stories of the people fighting for the continued existence of their communities. These are the last defenders.
Struggling with no food, no what. But we didn't stop. If we are going to do it, our young children, they will never know the fish.
Akili, 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 akili. We love to wash our hands, and this is how we do it. Wash, wash with clean water. Scrub, scrub, scrub with soap. Rinse, rinse with clean water, and then the germs will go. We love to wash our hands, and this is how we do it. Wash, wash with clean water. Scrub, scrub, scrub with soap. Rinse, rinse with clean water, and then the germs will go. Yay! Well done, soap and water. You got rid of all the germs on Achilles' hands.
Yes. Look, Neverland, never ever Neverland. Met the Christ and he turned me to a better man. When you die, tell me what's next, man. Christ is on the right, so I guess I'm on the left hand. Teach me how to dug, teach me how to dug it. Do your sin in public and then everybody does it. Do your thing for Christ and then everybody judges. But I'm in this for life, for me, hate it or love it. Chacha Kalunga, you are amazing. I look at stars and I can't stop praising. Look at the sea, no look again. Who told the water this is where you should end? Yes, greatness, greatness. Lord, you are greatness. How do you know all the different faces? How do you know the amount of my hair? How do you know what I needed to hear? No one beneath, there is no one above. No one besides that compares to your love. If I slip the cliff, Lord, it's you I would call. The fame of the world means nothing at all. So many girls thinking I'm the man. I used to bang, smoke, drink just because I can. Another Friday comes, okay, cool, here we go again. But see, understand, life has different seasons, and with each season came with its own reason. Christ gave his life, you was on the cross bleeding. I kept walking away thinking I would never need him, but I need him. Who doesn't? Affected by his death. Who was it? You claimed to be God, but you made nothing. Satan, you defeated, homie. Stop fronting. So where did love go? Where did morals go? This society we live in has become so cold. Will we live or die tomorrow, man? Nobody knows. That's why we're sending out this gospel. Go, go!
Share with us on #LearnOn1. Tell us what you're learning and where you're learning it from. Send us your name and town to the One Africa TV's WhatsApp on 081 200 6659 or send an SMS to 555. One Africa TV. It just gets better. We always love to hear from you. Send us your views, comments, and videos with your name and town to the One Africa TV's WhatsApp on 081 200 6659 or send an SMS to 555. One Africa TV. It just gets better.